We're a little early, I think. We're just like 3 minutes early, but not too bad. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Vicious FGC, otherwise known as just Vicious, really. You don't need to say the whole thing. It's not like a Tribe Called Quest. I don't know if you guys have heard of that hip-hop group, but it's not like a Tribe Called Quest where you have to like say the whole thing, but it's more just like a, a brief intro. Anyways, let's get it started, huh? First and foremost, I am the first real-time in-game commentator of StreetFighter 6. I am also a commentator for the FGC, specifically for the Capcom Pro Tour, as well as the StreetFighter League for multiple seasons, both the English broadcast alongside Tasty Steve and Rob TV, all talented people, as well as StreetFighter League Japan for the official English broadcast. I've been in the scene for about, I want to say like a long time, technically 2006, 2005, where I started going into Family Fun Arcade to watch like their check Ranbats. Pretty much ditch school sometimes if I could. Nah, it was mostly after school stuff to watch some of these tournaments. So I will say it's been a very, very long time, at least a decade, right? A decade plus. But I'm here to answer some questions. Here to answer some questions over on the subreddits or Street Fighter, while blasting some tunes at the same time for Street Fighter 6. Going into it, I was answering a couple of other things just in case you might have missed it. Auk had asked earlier, how did Capcom reach out to you about doing commentary? What was your initial reaction? Funny about this is Capcom actually released a video. I literally started off with that. But you can see that answer. But let's kind of go through the ones that haven't been answered yet. So the first one off the top is, are there any plans to add more lines as time goes on? It would be cool to keep it fresh. Well, when you think about the overall plans for Street Fighter 6 when it comes to the pipeline of things in comparison to like Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, we had DLCs that came out every so often. In Street Fighter 4 was like yearly. In Street Fighter 5 it was by seasons. Sometimes we would have like midway through like a season we'd have a character drop. There are plans in Street Fighter 6 currently for DLC to drop. It's been already announced. Ed, Rashid, Aki, and Akuma are going to be like the first 4. So with that in mind, I think in the summer of 2023, so this summer, Rashid might be released, I guess. I don't even know the official dates. But with that in mind too, for every like DLC, we would have to do lines for them, right? If we have lines for character specific stuff, for the commentary itself, we would have to do not only commentary for the situations, the actions, but also the character specifics, right? So like with Ryu, I'd have to talk about his Hashogeki or something, like, or Hadouken or something. So there will be multiple lines for DLC characters, to the best of my knowledge. In regards to like situational commentary, I am not positive. I have no idea. Nathaniel7 asks, how long did you have to keep your knowledge of Street Fighter 6 under wraps from your homies in the FGC, and were there any moments where you almost slipped up or really wanted to say something but knew you just couldn't? Well, to the best of my knowledge, I can't remember a lot of things, but I think it was about a year and some change where I had to keep Street Fighter 6 a secret. There were never any moments where I slipped up, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but modestly, I don't think I've ever really broken NDA ever. There were never really moments where I wanted to say something. I treat it this way. I think of it like a movie, right? I don't want to say any spoilers until they actually see the movie. Then I want to like full on talk about it, right? So, no, there weren't any real big moments. The only time where I actually wanted to say something, I guess, would be towards my family. I think they were technically the first to know anything about anything in regards to Street Fighter 6, but there were never any real moments where I slipped up. Brian F, pro player in the FGC and for Street Fighter in general, he's talked about this on stream where he got me a few drinks over a combo breaker last year. I think it was 2022 combo breaker. We were drinking a lot at the bar. We were like celebrating the weekend, and he was talking about Street Fighter 6. And he like would nudge me. He was like, you wouldn't happen to know anything about Street Fighter 6. And I'm like, bro, I wish. And we were actually like pretty drunk. So no, I'm not slipping up. Samantha Bridges asks, does your throat/voice feel hoarse after commentating large events? More often than not, I've trained my voice enough to not be hoarse, and I'm also very reserved in regards to like public outings. I don't yell as much. I don't talk as much in public. And what happens is like at events, I'll say hi to everybody, say what's up. But when it comes to like nighttime, I'm not out like partying or whatever. I treat my job very, very seriously. So I kind of like get as much rest as possible, study up for the next day, and reserve my voice as much as possible and keep that room temperature water very, very handy. I do take cough drops if I need to, but it like doesn't really need, I don't really need it as often. What do you do to make sure your voice sounds consistent? I do a lot of vocal exercises prior the events, like the day before to get myself warmed up. I will do like pretend commentary the nights before to see how I'm sounding. I'll do a little mic check also for myself. So that pretty much goes into it. Yeah, I hope that answers it. Tenkaiichi124 asks, as a commentator who has seen a lot of fighting games, I'm assuming, what aspects of Street Fighter 6 do you think will be the most exciting to watch and commentate on? I've answered this one. Obviously, I've been in the scene for a very, very long time. But the biggest things that I like, I've answered this here too. One of the biggest things I like about, or the most exciting things to me about watching and commentating are games between players that have a very, very solid storyline. I've given an example on the subreddit. You can see, for example, Punk versus Item is always going to be legendary to me. I always have my eyes peeled on that specific kind of scenario. Any high-profile players that I'm a fan of, I will be very excited to watch because they're always going to bring something extremely new or extremely complex in regards to like high-level play to the table, and that's something that really, really excites me. It's like watching the NBA. You know, it's like going to a Laker game for me, watching some of these players play. XCP, no major question, but find the commentators add a lot to the matches for me. It's really cool stuff. Do you know if any plans to have lines updated over time or anything of that nature as new content comes into the game? Short answer, this was answered earlier. Short answer, there are plans for additional lines for the DLC characters specifically. In regards to the situational commentary, what's on the screen, I'm actually not too sure. How many lines did you record for in-game commentary from Sil H7? And can you talk a bit how the recording process happened, etc.? So number one, I answered this one as well. There were approximately like 10K plus lines. I don't even remember the exact number, but looking at it, it was very, very daunting at first because we had to do this over a span of like a couple of months, and it was really, really intimidating at first, but we got through them pretty quickly. So there were about like 10K plus lines. Because of the different types of scenarios and interactions that happen in a game, on top of character-specific interactions where I'd have to say like the character's name, the character's move list, their move set, etc. So there were a lot. The second question was talking about the recording process. Did they already write your lines, or did you have to invent them? What was that more what you would say if X happened? Were they matches in front of you to give you an idea? There were absolutely no matches in front of us, by the way. I don't think I answered that. My bad. But I also answered this part. I think the team behind the localization process, dude, the guys over in Japan, the localization team, all of them, a big shout out to them, especially Andrew Alfonso. I freaking adore that whole crew. I definitely spelled his last name wrong. Shit, I'm sorry. My bad, Andrew. My bad. I'm pretty sure I spelled your last name wrong. But yeah, they made majority of the script. However, they were very open to have some additions to how I wanted to say certain lines, how I would present them if I were doing like an actual commentary for like a match. The creative process and the creative freedom that they gave me was very much so appreciated, and there was a lot, man. They let me do so many different lines in the way that I wanted to do them. There are secret lines, by the way. There are secret lines in Street Fighter 6 that you guys do not know about. One of the examples, I think we talked about it. The birthday lines. That's right. There are birthday lines per character on certain dates. So pay attention to that. I'm pretty sure the Street Fighter account and Twitter often puts out like the characters' birthdays and whatnot. But there are a bunch of secret lines. Whoa, Secret Lines, says Brad M. Yes, Secret Lines. Blaze Blue. Even though Street Fighter 6 is still new, the competitive scene has been very active. What would you say were the best matches you've watched so far? Dude, by far, the most recent match has been the most exciting to me was Punk versus Kaba in that very, very last second clutch win where Kaba didn't get to chip out Punk enough off of an OD flash kick. Punk survived and ended up clutching and actually took down Kaba for the rest of the set. That match was by far the most exciting thing to watch for me currently. I could pick a handful of them as well, but I think as of right now, that has to be the best one. Neon Kurosaki asks, how hard was it to keep a secret from friends, assuming you didn't share with friends? Not hard. I don't think it was very difficult. It's not very difficult for me to keep secrets in general. I think I'm a very private person, to be quite honest with you. I keep to myself a lot. Very much so a recluse in my older ages, or older stage of the game, I guess. But no, it wasn't too difficult. Sorry if you were looking for another answer. Also, what are your thoughts about JP from someone who got to see the game pre-release to now? I had my reservations about the character JP. I wasn't too sure about like the design. I kind of saw him early, but seeing him fleshed out till now, I'm like, dude, I was not expecting this kind of character. But I think design-wise, he's fantastic. I've never really played a character like this. The way he looks is very unique. I think Street Fighter has done, the whole Capcom team has done a very, very good job of keeping it fresh with character designs. I'm very satisfied with the way JP plays and the way he looks, no doubt. This one, okay, Min-Max Platypus. This is a question near and dear to me. How is Wodan doing from your D&D group, Magic Pixel? Also, did you guys keep it going off stream? Wodan is, he's chilling. You know how he is. He's a big viber. He's just hanging out. But Dalabraka also is, I think he's in trouble somewhere, somehow. But you got to keep your eyes peeled because he might be in disguise as another character. You never know. But Wodan's great. Did we keep it going off stream? Unfortunately, we did not. Our team disbanded only because of our schedule conflicts, but I would love to start it over again. I really would. So hopefully we can do that. Yoshi Gamer 6400 asked, do you know if Capcom plans to invite you back into the recording booth to do lines for DLC characters? Yes, absolutely. We do have plans for other characters in the pipeline. The four that are known right now are Rashid, Aki, Akuma, and Ed. So when they'll have me back, I don't know, but I'd imagine so because there are lines for character-specific interactions, right? Red Dead Sun, who's your favorite? Oh, sorry, who's your 4 character picks for Season 2 DLC? I answered this one earlier. I would love to see the Shadowloo Kings back. I want Vega, Balrog, and Sagat revamped. Personally, I need the twins back, chat. I don't think you guys understand. I need Yun and Yang. I don't care if you take away the dive kicks. I need the twins back, okay? That's just a personal bias. But I would love to see more Third Strike characters. I want to see Necro, Q. I think Dudley would fit really well in this engine. I think it'd be really interesting. So, that's my 2 cents on it. Ganajan in the system, dear Lord. Yes, absolutely. Hey, now there's no Shadowloo Kings. That's true. Without Bison, it's true. The real question is, would you want the twins as 1 tag character or 2 DLC slots? Excellent question, Clockwork. Yo, I would love if the twins were both, you could do like tag teams. Oh, bruh. If you, man, it would be so sick if you do Yun as like costume 1, Yang as costume 2, and then whoever's out on the screen, like their level 3 would be both the twins beating you down. That would actually be super, super sick. EMP Sanford Kelly, you're my favorite bald man. I want to give him an award. Can I give him an award for that? Can I like this? How do I upvote it? Upvote it? Yes. Hey, oops. Hey, I love you. I can't type. Okay. My bad. Alex Lee mentioned recently that Luke's "Let's go" win quote was his idea because it sounded more natural to something in the FGC. Were there any particular lines you remember doing that were totally your idea to make it sound authentic? It was "These two have more beef than a Philly cheesesteak" line. No, I'm kidding. That's not my line. There were a lot of the critical art lines for the characters were most of it were ad-libbed, so those were my idea. There were some where I kind of like ran out of ideas and I'm just like, let's just go with the script. But there's a bunch. Any particular lines? A lot of them were in the level 4 to level 5 range, so the really, really hype ones where I got to say my own stuff. It's hard to remember. I'm not gonna lie to you. There were so many different lines that I had to go through. But when I figure it out, I will let you know. I'm so sorry, Bird Boxer. Rafa Flash, are you enjoying the game overall? Dude, I have not stopped playing. I don't know how many hours I have clocked into the game yet, but it's got to be in like the hundreds or 200s, I think. So I'm very much so enjoying the game. It's such a fresh look on Street Fighter, and it feels so good. Which characters are you playing? Currently in rotation, Chun-Li, Ryu, Ken, Luke, DJ, Jamie, Jury. I'm currently working on a Pocket Dalsim, but my overall goal is to get every character to master, so I'm going to be learning the entire cast eventually. Thanks for the hard work. No, thank you for the question, man. Please tell Capcom to add in Shadowloo, please, and thank you. You got it, Jimbo Slice. How did you get into commentary, and how much research do you find yourself doing so you're on top of the latest information and tech? I got into commentary because I couldn't juggle my time between being an accountant and a pro Street Fighter V player. I was pretty degenerate in Street Fighter 4. I was a competitive 4 player, heavily competitive for a very, very long time. When Street Fighter V released, it was a couple of events in my life that were happening. I graduated college. I took school seriously after that. I got my finance degree. I got a job as an accountant for a few years. And I noticed that the amount of time I put into Street Fighter V meant kind of slipping at my work life. I couldn't find that balance. So what happened was I ended up going to WNF, Wednesday Night Fights in Irvine, pretty often after work. And I couldn't see myself really playing, but I still wanted to talk about it. It was actually Sajam, though. I was like, hey, man, why don't you hop on the mic? It'll be a good time. And I was like, okay, sure. Are you going to be on there? He's like, yeah, we can talk about it together. So we did. I thought it was a lot of fun. Valle and Jimmy from Level Up Live were like, hey, do you want to do this more often? I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd really enjoy it. And it kind of just took off from there. But the real answer is I was doing commentary for Street Fighter 4 at my local scene in Van Nuys when we would run a tournament over at Ultimate Gaming Center. Not a lot of people remember this, but I had a lot of hair and glasses back then. I did a lot of commentary. I did the production side of it, played in the tournaments as well. But that was Street Fighter 4, so I don't know. I don't know if that counts. Answer phone D1, D6. What's it like hanging out with all the top... Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait, my bad. I didn't answer the second part. I'm so sorry. Ignis13, my bad. Do you find yourself doing... How much research do you find yourself doing so you're on top of the latest information and tech? I do a lot of research. I've been playing pretty much every day to stay sharp in gameplay from all levels, which is one of the bigger parts of doing master rank with all the characters, right? You want to understand every level of the game to its extent. I watch a lot of tournament footage, and it's very hard to keep up. I try to give myself a little bit of time to do all of that in my daily routine. Watch a lot of tournaments, play in a lot of tournaments, and also keep my eyes towards Twitter a lot. I follow a lot of pro player accounts to keep myself sharp in the latest tech. So Twitter and not really having a social life is the answer. Algiron, are there any other fellow commentators that aren't featured in the game but you'd like to see approached for this opportunity too? Man, easy. Sajam for 1, Ultra David 2, Yipes 3. This order, there's no particular order. I'm just naming people off the top of my head. So yeah, Sajam, Ultra David, Yipes, Anybody else that I've really kind of like worked with? Logan Sama, Jammers, F Word for sure, Tyrant. I would love to see representation from Damascus too, because he speaks a bunch of languages. I would love to see whether or not they would add like foreign languages to the commentary other than Japanese for the Western audience, the North American audience. But yeah, I think those would be the ones that I would really love to see. Now it's answer phone D1D6. What's it like hanging out with all the top players for Street Fighter League? Dude, it's a blast, man. It's like watching the All-Star game. It feels the same way. Like, I don't ever like fanboy out or geek out towards people because they're just people as well. They want to be treated like people. So I talk to them. What the crazy thing is, I get to interview a lot of these cats in a mindset where they're ready for the competition and they're not ready to expose secrets or the strategy to the competition. But I get that knowledge first, right? I get to interview a lot of these cats and ask like, hey, what is this matchup like for you? What do you notice specifically about another player that you're facing off against that may or may not help you in the matchup? So it's so cool. I think it's like I get some of the biggest insights on high level play and like strategizing that not a lot of people get exposed to. But when I get that knowledge, the best part about it is I get to talk about that after the match has concluded or even during the matchup, because the players can't hear me during Street Fighter League while it's happening because we are isolated in two separate rooms, right? The playoff room, or sorry, the gaming room and then the commentary room are separated. So I get to expose all of their secrets essentially on the broadcast. How hard is it to keep the results a secret as the weeks go by? Not too hard. It's like keeping a it's like not spoiling a movie for somebody who hasn't seen it yet, right? I want people to like understand like, hey man, this is something that's really, really special and near to my heart. I wouldn't want to ruin it. I'd much rather you guys watch it for yourselves and enjoy it as much as I have, right? Fong Duck Bit is man, I love that name. Super happy for you. Hey, it's Fong, dude, former Capcom employee. Super happy for you, Jeremy. I love you, man. Thank you. It's been a long time since I ran into you at a trade show booths, but I love seeing you do great and well-deserved things, man. Who are some of your inspirations for what you do, both commentary and general life? Ooh. Wow. For commentary, this is the obvious one for a lot of people, but Sajam and Tasty Steve are my best friends. They've been there through like various aspects of my life that I don't really get to talk about. But they've both been there for me for a very long time, like through really, really hard times too. So they've been like the guys that have inspired me in commentary and general life, because there's a lot where I'm kind of like down on myself. I'm like, man, I don't know where this commentary thing is going. And they would share their stories with me about how they felt the exact same way. And these guys are the pros, right? These guys got there through perseverance and just working smarter, not harder. But they do work very hard. So those two are my main inspirations. Ultra David is also a very, very big inspiration. Alex Valle and Jimmy Nguyen for giving me the platform to even speak on. A lot of those cats have really, really helped shine a light for me in the realm of commentary. In general life, my biggest inspirations, my mom and dad, man. That's always an obvious one. I think their acceptance of what I do and their support has been the reason why I was able to pursue gaming, pursue this as a profession, and not be like questioned about my decisions, my really poor decisions to do like professional gaming, and pursue it, right? A lot of my friends when I was getting into it kind of like stepped out of the picture, and they were just like, you know what, I don't really get the image here. But those that have stayed, they're also the inspirations to my life as well. So I would say my friend group in my Facebook chat, my Facebook Messenger, you guys know where you're at. Austin, Ivy, Jason, Jed, Yana, Howie. I love you guys if you guys ever end up watching this video. But yeah, that's those guys are my inspirations. Plenty more, actually. But I'll keep it at that for now. Automatic Animal. Which is better, pie or cake? Ooh. So I'm kind of a cheater, I feel like. I think both are really good a la mode, but it really depends on the pie or the cake. What's funny is like, oh God, Jesus, the macho ring stage is getting crazier and crazier. I love this breakdown, by the way, on this song. I'd have to say pie. I think pie. So I'm thinking of like versatility. I'd have to say pie, but cake is also. Damn, you can make an ice cream. No, I'm going with cake. Sorry, I gotta pick. Sorry, man. It's cake. Shin flop. Oh, I probably shouldn't. Shin flope. I probably should not click people's usernames while I'm on this thing live, huh? What are some of your favorite Street Fighter commentator quotes? Some of mine are, I don't care what critics say, violence is a beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate Street Fighter. Yeah. Yeah, Street Fighter 4, the Street Fighter 4 commentator was amazing. My favorite Street Fighter commentator quotes in game would have to be the ones from Alpha 3. Anything that goes face it straight, triumph or die. Like, dude, that was some of the coolest things. The third strike announcer was pretty good too. But yeah, I think all the Alpha 3 ones are so good, man. So good. Brad M. Hey, Vicious. First off, when are we running the set? Today, if you wanted to. But for a real question, do you have a favorite set of Street Fighter? What is it? My favorite set of Street Fighter, I'll always love in order. Third Strike, Street Fighter 4, and I guess 3, 4, and 2 in that order. But currently 6. Do you have a favorite set game to show people as an introduction to Street Fighter, to SF fighting games? Do you have a favorite set or game? Oh, I get it. To be fair, I've shown a lot of people Evo Moment 37 growing up, and I've gotten a lot of people into Street Fighter because of that. But if I were to introduce somebody to Street Fighter now or fighting games, one of my favorite sets would be Leffen versus Goichi at Evo, the first Dragon Ball Fighters Evo. That matchup plus the commentary was some of the sickest things I've ever seen. I think also Evo 2019. No, I'm lying. It's one of the Evos with I think it was Guilty Gear Xrd. The what are you standing up for moment. That was actually kind of nuts. So it would be like those three really. But if I were to do like Street Fighter 6, I would show them the Kaba versus Punk match as CEO. Congrats on all the success. Hopefully I get to join Epo against what? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. But hey, Brad, I appreciate you, man. No Red Witch. Eno Red Witch, excuse me. Eno Red Witch. You can pick anybody in the world, living or dead, to join you on the mic at Evo Grand Finals. Who is your funny pick, and who would be your actual quality pick? My funny pick would be Robin Williams for sure. I would love his like charisma towards things he doesn't really know, but I want to see him talk about the characters. My actual quality pick would be easily Kobe Bryant. I would love to get Kobe Bryant on the mic. That's for the two dead folks that I would have for. I'm kind of cheating here, but for living, my funny pick. Damn, that's hard, man. Actually, I would love Dwayne Johnson on the microphone for Evo Grand Finals. My actual quality pick. Ooh. Anybody in the world. Evo Grand Finals, Seth Killian. I would love Seth Killian on the mic for Evo Grand Finals. That's my actual quality pick. I'm not even kidding. I would love Seth Killian on Evo Grand Finals. Frenzied Hunter. I asked the same thing to Jammers the other day. Natural talent or hard work? Natural talent is nothing without hard work, in my opinion. So, hard work all the way. I think the work builds a lot of character. If you have a natural talent for something, I think it's great to not only harness it to the maximum potential, but also kind of help those around you that are also in the same craft, because it only makes you better. So I think hard work overall is what I'm more attuned to, more so than just like relying on natural talent. Sikyana Kodik, I think. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Were there any significant differences in the way the commentators were directed versus the character VAs? I don't know how the character VAs were directed because I wasn't in the same booth. I don't even think we were in the same studio. But the way the commentators were directed, we had to compartmentalize our emotions and vocal range depending on the line based off of the score given. So what happens is on the script itself, there were columns that would range the emotions between 1 through 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the loudest. So we would have to kind of figure out how to deliver said lines in those emotional ranges. Like level 1 would kind of be like somewhat serious, but it's setting the tone kind of emotion where it's like, all right, these guys are feeling each other out. What's the play here, right? I think that's one of my lines. Is like, they're feeling each other out. What's the play here? And then there will be lines like, they are done. That's like level 5. I don't want to blast your ears out, but that's like a level 5 or whatever. So that's generally the kind of direction we would get from our director and lead localization person. So yeah, I don't know how different it was for the actual character VAs. Tom Selleck and friends, did they show you alpha builds of the game to understand the characters' moves? The characters/moves you were commenting on, or did they just sort of hand you a list of actions and you kind of riff on it without fully understanding what it would be like in game? A mix of both for some of the characters, because not all of the characters were, I guess not all of the moves were fully fleshed out yet, but over time they ended up showing us and we redid some of the lines and whatnot to kind of match the pace. But yeah, I will say, yes, they did show us like some of the alpha builds of some of the characters, but not all of them. Knee Lift City. Hey, Vicious, I remember watching you on stream as a WNF regular for Street Fighter 4, which was the first fighting game I really tried to learn. Played a couple before. How'd you come to start playing fighting games and the steps you took to get better at them? Funny enough, I've played Street Fighter for a very, very long time. My very first fighting game was Street Fighter 2 when I was very, very young on a Super Nintendo console with my brother. My dad had brought it home and he played with us. And eventually, my brother and I would like play each other and stuff. My brother was the first one to ever teach me what a cancel was, low forward fireball, and combos and stuff. Then I would play with my mom while she was like just kind of watching me. I never grew out of it really. I would always have like this affinity towards fighting games because it was like some of the coolest things I could imagine. It was like playing a Bruce Lee movie at the time, right? Or it was like pretending I was in control of like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something, like in a like fighting game or something. You know what I mean? Like when you watch kung fu movies and like martial arts movies, playing a fighting game kind of makes you feel like you're in control of that movie. That's what it felt like for me. So that's why I started. I really got serious about it with Third Strike, the anniversary collection. I would play my friends all the time. The steps I took to get better at them, I had to really swallow my pride on this one because you know those moments where you think like you're the best kid on the block. That eventually happened, but I ended up like venturing out to other arcades, more notably Family Fun Arcade over on Balboa and Devonshire off the 118 in Southern California. That arcade is near and dear to me because you had some of the sweatiest players, man. Some of the biggest killers in Street Fighter Third Strike that had actually competed over in Japan for Super Battle Opera. And those are the guys that really tuned me up. So the steps I took would be playing it a bunch. I didn't understand like frame data and stuff, so it would just be like raw. What I would do would be like focus on the character that I'm playing, figure out my offense with that character, and then just kind of make such a strong like set play with my offense that I don't want to have to worry about the matchups. Eventually, that was the wrong approach. Over time, I've learned. I've forced myself to sit down and learn frame data. Force myself to watch replays and watch how other players navigate the matchups. So there's a lot of time consumed towards watching other people and studying more so than like playing it, but you have to find that balance, right? So the steps I take to get better at them now are a lot different than they were like decades ago. It's very important that you understand what you're doing. So I guess it's important to have goals first. Understand what you're doing and why you're doing them, and figuring out what you did wrong versus your opponent and what you could do like better by like watching replays and whatnot. So that's pretty much like the gist of it. Moby Barton, have you already recorded lines for DLC characters, or will you have to go back and record new lines for the upcoming season or possibly season 2? I have not really recorded all the DLC stuff, but I will be going back, I hope, if they let me. So hopefully that answers that. Officially Randy, hey man, can you ask Capcom to put Ibuki in the game for me? Thanks, dude, you're my hero. Hey Capcom, can you put Ibuki in the game? I appreciate it, man. Officially Randy was asking, just to let you guys know. Xvarus, I've seen this name plenty of times, man. What's up? It's Howard, one of the Chen players. Howard, that's his name. That's why I knew that name. Dude, it's good to see you. One of the Chen players from AI Super WNF. Amazing to see all the work you've put in pay itself off. Thanks, man. What are some maybe less well-known but really hype matches of Street Fighter you'd recommend people watch? Doesn't have to be 6. Any Street Fighter game. Oh, dude, Tokido versus Clayky D. Street Fighter 4 at one of the SoCal regionals. Dude, where he popped off and he showed like the Akuma symbol on his back in front of the projector. Easily one of the more hype moments. A more funny one would be Gandhi from the UK with his Rufus. I forgot who he played against with Ryu. Easily one of those. I will say I think the Cien versus Daigo versus 10 exhibition would be really, really cool. There's a lot, man. Hopefully that kind of answered the question, but there's a lot. Obsidian Sky King, I enjoy watching you in the caster crew every week in various online and sometimes offline tournaments, but after watching the CR Cup last week in Japan, it made me wonder if we'll ever see anything like it in the West. That level of exposure across various communities was insane. What do you think needs to be done to emulate that kind of success and grow the FGC outside the boundaries of weekly online tournaments? Very, very solid question, because I don't necessarily have the answer to that myself, but I can try to the best of my ability. I think there's a lot of outreach that goes with a lot of the hot topics that go on in today's society. I think there's a lot of really big pop culture stuff that's been happening, and I think like there's been a really great fusion, or I guess like a cross-pollination of different types of platforms lately. Like for example, CR Cup had some of the biggest VTubers in Japan work with some of the biggest fighting game players in Japan, right? So I think more collaborations like that need to be done. I will say there are a lot of financial hurdles for something like that to happen consistently, unless the parties involved are very much so passionate about the game or just really love playing the game in general. I think overall there just needs to be a lot more outreach between communities, like fighting game community with other gamers, fighting game community with current pop culture, etc. I think that kind of success is very hard to reach, but not impossible, right? We're slowly getting there, right? We've seen some of these big collaborations with some big streamers too, with like the AT&T event that we had on Twitch not too long ago with Street Fighter 5. I think we're slowly getting there, man. But yeah, to emulate that kind of success specifically, it would be to kind of just like have a little bit more outreach to parties that are more willing to play Street Fighter or fighting games, right? Squid Kid G, who do you want for DLC? Additionally, who's your favorite character to commentate for? Ooh, I mean, my current favorites right now are Luke and DJ, because I'm playing both of them and I think they're a lot of fun to watch. Who do I want for DLC personally? The twins, man. Serious answer, I would love to have the twins back, Yun and Yang, as one character. That'd be really cool. Dudley, I think, would fit really, really well in this engine of Street Fighter. I want the Shadow Liu Kings back. This is answered earlier, but just to kind of reiterate, I do want the Shadow Liu Kings back, and I want some Third Strike characters. I want more Third Strike characters, like Necro, Q would be great. Elena. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Felgo. Felgo. I'm sure you occasionally watch footage you commentated over, but how does it feel to hear it in game? It's a dream come true, man. I've gotten so used to it because I've heard like my voice lines back to me in the booth. I've heard it during the production phase. I put it on sometimes during my own streams. I am not sick of it. I generally don't like my own voice, but I'm slowly getting used to it, right? I do kind of get agitated at my own commentary, talking about how I missed an anti-air or something, or didn't block a fireball. So I cuss at myself in game. Am I immune to it? Definitely not. Does it still sound weird? Low key it does, yes. Do you love it and blast the volume? I also love it and I do blast the volume. Absolutely. But generally I don't like the sound of my own voice. To be honest with you. But I've learned to love it eventually. Because you know how much footage you have to watch to like get better at commentary? Like to listen to yourself commentate and say dumb things sometimes. Like I say a lot of dumb things and I write it down. I'm like, let's not do that again for the next event. Bro, it's hard. You senpai. First of all, thank you for constantly reminding me in game that I'm about to burn out or that my essay is full. You got it, man. Legitimately helps me as a relatively new player, and I basically always have it on. Notice your commentary contains a lot of these sort of noob tips sprinkled in. Was that deliberate? It absolutely was, and I'm glad you noticed that. There are a lot of tips in the game that keep you aware to look at certain aspects of the game that most people don't. They kind of overlook it. But majority of the commentary, I would say like 90% of it, is carefully designed and crafted specifically to help you improve your game without having to put as much conscious effort into it. Like if you're just kind of like listening in the background of what I'm actually telling you in certain situations, like really hone in on it, even in replays, I'm telling you certain things like, oh, this jump in could have been stopped or whatever. Or like, player one has their opponents in the corner. This will be a really great time to keep the fire hot or something like that, you know? So yes, it was definitely deliberate to give you those kind of tips. I generally feel like this could be an amazing tool for learning the game in the future. Absolutely. If they ever asked you to come back to record lines for a noob tips version of your commentary, would you be down? Of course, man. I absolutely love teaching people the game of Street Fighter because it just gets another person hooked. I owe so much to this community and to this game that I would love. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't shy away from doing something like that. And I would really love to kind of give back in that way if I could. So absolutely, I'd be down. No doubt. Ace of Cakes Vicious, what's your favorite video game? Super Mario Brothers 3 on the original Nintendo. Close second, Super Mario World. Close third, Metal Gear Solid for PlayStation. PlayStation 1. Those three games I could play endlessly. I don't know why. I think, well, the first two games is because the first two games I've ever played ever. The first three would be Street Fighter, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World. So yeah, I could play those games for an eternity if I had to. Also the Pokemon games. Yeah, Pokemon Red and Blue. Why is your head so shiny? Oily. And I also have a fantastic skincare routine. That was not self-created. I was guided through that whole process for months, years even, almost 2 years. But yeah, I have a very careful skincare regimen. What sort of razor do you shave with? I have a pit bull, not a dog, but pit bull razor. I love that thing. It's better than using like the kind of like Bic shaver. I used to have like a single blade razor that I would use, but the process took very long. I would use it every so often if I were to like carefully shave. I don't know why I'm showing you the motions right now. But now I just use my Pitbull razor. That thing is fantastic for travel, and it's so easy. It's so easy to use. It's like it takes like 5 minutes to go over once, and if anything I've missed, I just go over it again. It's like, dude, it's so easy. But thank you, Nethought. Coke84. Do you have the casters on or off? If so, who are you listening to? Love your work. I appreciate it, man. The casters I have on are just me. It would be between me and Tasty Steve. Sometimes I would have Aru on to get the full-on experience, because Aru's a legend. Listening to him in previous games for so long, it feels like I'm getting the full experience, really. That's all I can really say. But yeah, I do have the casters on from time to time. As of late, I've kind of stopped because I've been trying to like focus on the game. But if I'm playing like casual sets, I will turn the commentary on. Minis and games, or is it mini sand games? What are your honest thoughts on the current state of the FGC? My current thoughts are it's in a really thriving spot. I think there are so many amazing games that are coming out and so many games that are currently out that I think the FGC is in a very, very fortunate state. I will say the social media aspect, there's a lot of trolling involved, and I get that. There's a lot of sarcasm. But like if you see past that, if you're looking at the FGC as a whole, dude, we're in a fantastic spot. I don't really understand anyone who would say otherwise. I think, there's so much to look forward to in the fighting game community outside of even just Street Fighter. Even if you look at EVO, we're so strong. We have over 5,000 entrants for Street Fighter 6, and it's continually growing. If that doesn't say anything, I don't know what will. Imagine what happens when Project L comes out, right? From the Riot team. Imagine what happens when MK1 comes out. Imagine what happens when Tekken 8 comes out, right? I'm playing all of those games. Especially with how netcode is now. I don't think a lot of people really understand, man. Like, we were in such a dark spot, dark place when we were playing games without proper netcode. I kid you not. We were such ruthless animals to each other. But now it's all good. Like, we are in such a great state that I feel like we should be more appreciative of that, in my opinion. I think we should really embrace this community even more because of how cool it is to play these games and make the friends that we do in this community. It's very easy, it's very convenient, and I think overall we're just in a wonderful place. To finish that statement off, I've been a stream monster since the wild early days of Justin TV, etc. Certainly has changed a lot in a lot of ways, I think, for the better, but sometimes I miss the old days too. I don't necessarily miss the old days as much. I thought the times were very fun. I think arcade gatherings were something so special. I still think to this day it's a luxury that a lot of people will never really get to experience anymore. But I think there's a lot of good times now that kind of outweigh that. So it's nice to reflect, but I'm 100% fortunate that we've evolved to the current state. Vertigo 21-125. Once in a while, a local tournament will suddenly need someone to randomly be on comms for a match or two while the regular commentator plays a match or whatever. I volunteered to do this many times, and it's really fun, but I feel like I never know quite what to do. What should you focus on when you're doing commentary but aren't really a commentator? Is it better to try to be insightful or just kill time and be entertaining? I think there's a barometer of how much you need to balance to become a successful commentator and understand where those gaps, where and when those gaps are and when they need to be filled appropriately, right? During the actual gameplay itself, it's good to kind of focus on it, but it also really depends. Is it a local? Is it a gig you're being paid for? If it's a local, I'd imagine it's hanging out with the crew is fun. I think still keeping in mind of what's going on to show respect to the players on screen is something that needs to be noted, right? It's not like the commentator hour, right? I always think about it that way. Is the folks there, it depends on the person though. The folks there aren't necessarily there to see you or hear you. They're there to watch the gameplay most of the time, right? Unless it's someone like Yipes or Tasty Steve. Sometimes they go for the person, which is amazing. But yeah, if you're not really a commentator, I think one of the things to focus on is finding that balance, right? If the gameplay is on, you can talk about the gameplay, maybe throw in a joke or two here and there, but really try to keep it about the gameplay and the players. And the important thing is also, you don't necessarily have to be full-on analysis or whatever. I think just finding your personality and how you want to talk about the game is important. Nobody wants another Sajam. Nobody wants another Tasty Steve. Nobody wants another Yipes. Nobody wants another Vicious, right? Everybody has their own like unique qualities to them, and I think that's what makes them potentially great commentators. Is I feel like the great commentators are the ones that know how to put their personality, their personal spin on commentary into a broadcast. And those are my favorite kind of commentators. So yeah, just find a mix of both, or try to find a mix of all of it, and just know when and where to utilize it, right? Heavy Hit asks, what's the most exciting match to commentate so far in Street Fighter 6? In terms of characters, in terms of players, I would say by default, any of the top 8 for me is always going to be like the exciting match. Any high profile player is going to be exciting for me. But what's even more exciting, I think, are the no-name underdogs, the folks that I've never really seen before, I never recognized before, and they're in the top 8 bracket. I'm like, all right, you're here for a specific reason. Show me that reason. And I get really, really hyped about that. So those would be like my most exciting matches to commentate. Galmux, who are your... Sorry if I butchered that. Who are some of your favorite folks to co-commentate with? Easy. Tasty Steve, Sajam, Ultra David, free. Yipes, free. Jammers, dude. Jammers is so easy to work with, man. Tyrant, F-Word, dude. The list goes on and on and on, man. The list really, really goes on and on and on. Yeah, I can name all of them, really. Kangaroo, what do you think is the most lopsided matchup in Street Fighter 6 right now? I don't know. It's still too early to call. I think, in my personal opinion, I don't think there are any big lopsided matchups. I think the balance right now is so well done that it's hard to call who could win. I think, especially with the inclusion of the new mechanics, it's such like low barrier to entry. Sorry, I had to change the lighting. Such a low barrier to entry, and also can be used to throw people off at the professional levels. I'm talking about Drive Impact specifically. There we go. I had to change the song. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's any. Do you prefer commentating on blowouts or down to the wire fights? I think context is pretty important for the blowout stuff. Sorry. I think context is really important for the blowouts. I don't want to see a match where it's just like the other person's not fighting or whatever. I want to see, if it's a blowout, I want to see somebody get like really outplayed for that blowout to happen. But down to the wire fights, same context applies really. If it's like both players continuously adapting rather than like two players kind of like flailing about and it's a close fight, that doesn't really like interest me. But if I were to choose one over the other, down to the wire every single time. Nile Venom, you do a damn smacking good ass job. Keep at it. I appreciate the question, man. Thank you, fam. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, man. Deadlifting Fool, what is your favorite Street Fighter game and why? Third Strike, because I think it had some of the more complex gameplay that I've ever experienced in a Street Fighter. I thought the characters' designs were extremely unique. The art style, the music was so fitting for the game. Just the animations overall and the mechanics themselves of parrying. I loved parrying so much. Everything about that game keeps me playing it for hours on end. Like every single combo breaker, by the way, I've gone to like the retro room and I've played Third Strike just continuously. Third Strike and Super Turbo, but yeah. Favorite Street Fighter game, Third Strike. But right now it's about to be Street Fighter 6. Not even just chilling. Whatever happened to Joe Dubs? One of my favorite people on the planet. Joe Dubs, if you're listening, man, I love you, bro. I think he's in Las Vegas now. I don't know if he's playing as much. I would love to keep in touch with him, but as of late, it's like, I think, not as of late. I think, like 4 to 5, 6 years ago, perhaps, I lost touch with him. We just went our separate ways, really. But I do miss the hell out of Joe Dubs. Barson Biddy. Ishkabo, can you reveal anything about the algorithm that chooses what voice lines play at any given time? Had fun thinking about how it must work. Perhaps there must be a database, excuse me, where each line is categorized, ordered, and tagged that is correct. I figure there seems like there must have been different levels of hype. Yes, that's correct. Lions always seem to pick something with the same or greater hype until things return to neutral. Fun to think about. Yes, you've pretty much figured it out. There's nothing really I can answer other than yes, yes, and yes. There are certain situations, and there is an algorithm behind it to pick to make it as simple as possible, right? Situations will have a pool of voice lines that will be played at any given moment, but depending on the situation, whether there's meter involved, whether there's certain life gauges at certain percentages, distance between the players, distance between a player and the corner, etc. There's so many different variables that go into how a voice line is picked into very specific algorithms. So that's about as specific as I can get. I don't know the full inner workings of it, but that's like the gist of it. K5RD asking the important questions. Is Infiltration allowed to compete in CPT this year, or is he still banned? I actually have to consult Capcom Esports about that. I don't know if the ban has been lifted, so I would assume yes, because he was a part of CPT last year, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he was, at least. I think I thought he competed in one of the South Korea tournaments early on, but I'm not too sure. I would have to ask. Drake Yon 8165. First and more importantly, how was your day? It's great. Let me drink something real quick. Go in. My bad. Let me start over. Drake Yon 8165. First and more importantly, how was your day? My day is going well. Thank you for asking. Hope your day as well is going well. Also, English is hard, man. Secondly, which matches were the most fun to watch? What were some matchups you were hoping to see? Ooh. A lot of the local tournaments, online tournaments like Tampa Never Sleeps, Can Opener, all the ICFCs, Casa Bunch, all of the top 8s were very interesting. Intel's been doing a lot of work with Street Fighter 6 as well. iBuyPower has been doing a lot. It's hard to really answer, man. I think to kind of repeat myself, the most fun matches recently were CEO top 8. But there's so many more matches that have happened this week that are still on my backlog, and I have to complete that before the week's over. I only got like a day, and I've only done like two top 8 tournaments so far. But yeah, matchups that I'm hoping to see. It's all going to be at EVO, man. I want to see all the international folks come in and face off against each other to become best in the world. I want to see the top 64 from that pool. It's going to be insane. Those are the matchups I'm hoping to see. In terms of characters, though, I mean, like, I'm down to see any character. So hopefully that answers that. Pinchy McLoaf. God damn it. Around what date did Capcom contact you to do this? I'm wondering at what point did Street Fighter 5 they started working on Street Fighter 6? About like a year, I think. About like a year and some change ago. I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, to be honest with you. I'd have to look at my emails, but around like a year and some change. Still pissed. Hey, Jeremy, it's Ecologic. Dude, what up, man? Just wanted to say hi, and I'm really psyched for everything you've been up to with this. Keep killing it. Dude, Ecologic. I thought it was Ecologic before. I think it's Ecologic, right? But yo, it's good to see you, man. I hope you've been doing well, brother. It's one of the cats from Ultimate Gaming Center that I used to run tournaments at. One of the local cats. Always good to see you, man. Orange Ketchup. CFN Purple Ketchup. This guy is he's a 2-timer. Do you like cooking? I hear a lot of he's cooking lines in the in-game commentary. When I can, I do enjoy cooking. I'm not great at it, though. My repertoire would be, in regards to cooking, I make a mean omelet. I have made some like chicken katsu. I love me a grilled salmon. I do get down at Korean barbecue, as I usually cook for the entire party most of the time. I don't know. I just like enjoying my time at the grill. But as of late, I haven't really been keeping sharp to my culinary skills. So I do enjoy it, though. I like the science behind it. I think it's fascinating. But yeah, I do enjoy it if I can, or if and when I get to, really. Smitty boy, tell him. I had to turn you guys off for rank because I was having too much fun between you and Steve. Always back on during Unranked and Battle Hub, though. I appreciate that, man. It's a bit of a negative slant, but was there anything you and the team did to try to avoid the same shortcomings as EA Sports titles, where people tend to get very sick of the commentary very quickly? I think there was a lot done by the localization team and the team behind it all in general to add as many voice lines as possible. I will say there was a significant difference in the amount of lines done for the play-by-play commentators in comparison to the color commentator section, right? Color commentators would be like Demon Kaka. I can't just say that name. But anyways, James Chen, Thea, Trinidad, and there's another one. But yeah, I think a lot of people do hear the repetitive lines over and over from like the color commentary side, but to kind of combat that, they wouldn't say their lines as frequently as the play-by-play commentator, right? The play-by-play commentator has like tens of thousands of lines, so I think that was like the counteraction towards that, if I'm not mistaken. Let me refresh this real quick. Let's see, how does this work? Nice. Here. Infamous to Vic. With the Japanese casters in game, did you guys have any special back and forth within, or was it just set to the basic remarks for situations and advice? Did you guys have any special back and forth? Yes! I have specific back and forths with James Chen, I believe. I have specific back and forths with Thea as well, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. I gotta double check that. But yes, keep up the good work. Can't wait to hear DLC voice lines for new characters as they get released. Hopefully y'all will do that. Hopefully. Thanks, Infamous. I appreciate it, man. Sir Psycho Mantis, how many people on an average day would you say hit? How many people on average? Everybody in ranked gets hit with a stop and bop. Everybody in ranked, 100%. I've hit everybody on ranked with the stop and bop. And I will keep that record consistent. Flexing Bum, do you know why there's recently been a surge in new commentators that aren't necessarily even good at the games they play? Ooh, very big question. To be fair, I think it's not everybody is going, not every tournament organizer is going to have a commentator on deck that'll do the work pro bono. I think there's a lot of communities out there that are looking for those kind of talents and to kind of like nurture their scenes a little bit more to become upcoming talent. So I think the surge of commentary is needed, really. I think a lot of the cats are going to start off kind of green like I did. Because I can guarantee you that I did not get a lot of good looks on my commentary in the beginning, especially from like Arcappa. I've been getting drilled. Yes, that's right. I've been getting drilled verbally by a lot of people in StreetFighter 5 saying that I never played the game, which was entirely false. And I would challenge them to like first to fives and stuff. But like at the end of the day, man, it's like their output, although the, you know, some of it's valid, you have to learn how to kind of like filter that. But before I digress, it's okay that they're not good at the game as long as they play it. That's what I've always felt like. I think as long as the casters or the commentators are actively playing and putting an effort to understand the game, I think that's very important. I don't like commentators that hop on the mic just to hop on the mic. I to each their own, right? Not everybody's going to be able to fill those spots for every local scene, but I say give it time, really. I say just give them the time of day to get better. If they choose not to get better, that's their own prerogative, right? I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that, but it makes it a lot harder for the co-commentator to kind of like go back and forth with the person who doesn't know the craft, right? It makes the conversation very difficult to have. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just in it for the clout these days, and I was hoping for your opinion on why. I think you kind of just answered it. Some are in it for the clout. I actually don't know. I mean, perhaps. Hopefully that answered it, but yeah, I mean, You might have hit it right on the head. Muscles Dynamite. Congrats on getting into the game. That's amazing. My question, which characters individually or as a matchup are your favorites to commentate, watch in Street Fighter 6, and are they different from your favorite characters to play in the game? Sorry, I burped. My current favorites to watch right now are the characters I'm personally playing because I want to see how that player pilots that character, right? I want to see what's done differently that I could possibly learn from and take away from. Like just the other day at ICFC, one of the DJ players I saw did a really, really funky side switch combo that was really, really cool that costs no bar. It was after a drive impact, a punish counter drive impact, right? They countered with it. They did, with DJ, right? They did instant knee shot, which is jump down light kick, right? Instant knee shot to hop over, standing light kick into heavy machine gun upper. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and for very good damage. So that's just an example. I really do like watching the characters that I play, but it'll be very hard to say in the future because I made it a goal for myself to play every character to a master rank degree. So as it stands right now, my favorites to commentate and watch are the ones I play. So Luke, DJ, Ken, Jamie. I'm learning Dawson right now too, so those are the characters. Sanagost or Ghost, Sanagost. Did you get time to talk with the main head honchos, Nakayama-san and Matsumoto-san, ahead of launch? And did they reveal any early mechanics which didn't make it into the final game? Dude, I talked to those two pretty often during the whole production phase of it. I haven't really been able to talk to them as much because they've been very busy with launch this whole entire month, but I will be sure to say hi to them actually. But yeah, I mean, during the phases of like getting the game out there, I've talked to Nakayama-san during like San Diego Comic-Con. I got the closest to Nakayama-san and Matsumoto-san during San Diego Comic-Con, where we got to like hang out and talk about the game and play each other. We actually got to play each other. But I don't think there were any. I think all the mechanics that were in the game were introduced to me during that phase before any betas were released, and they've stuck to it. I haven't seen, even like in the early phases of like planning out the commentary, I haven't heard of or seen anything different. I think they've very much so finely tuned the mechanics they have currently for a very long time. I don't think there's any extras that they missed out on. Or they didn't include, I should say. Alpaca21. One of my favorite quotes, obviously, is, ho ho, these two got more beef than a Philly cheesesteak. Say the line, Bart. Did you come up with that line, or was it one of the lines provided? If it was you, have you used that line before during a match? I've never used that line during a match because I didn't create it. That was the handiwork of our very talented localization guy, the lead localization man behind the whole thing, Andrew Afonso. So he's the head honcho that created that line. So I'm gonna get the Twitter for you. Oh, I spelled his name wrong, but yeah, Andrew Alfonso. He's the guy. I don't think I'll ever use it in a match. I say that now, but I'm lying. I've used it already. Kentus, sorry. When the live commentary was first announced, I was very skeptic from the start, and for laughs, I turned it on, and hearing the play-by-play, the reaction, the advice, and warnings really helped me understand what I should and shouldn't be doing in a fight. Yes! And I've really turned around on the concept listening to your voice over time. Guess what I'm trying to say is you're my favorite commentator. Damn. Thanks, man. Thank you, Kentus. I appreciate that a lot. You're my favorite comment so far. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Meloro47, no questions, just the comment. Thank you for the work that you do. You have no idea how good it feels to play the game, especially with commentary on. I'll never find myself up on the Evo stage, but this feels close enough. Man, I appreciate that. And thank you for even giving it a shot. Like, most people haven't, not most people, most people at first were kind of questioning it, but to those that have actually turned it on and have kept it on, my sincerest gratitude, man. Thank you so much, Meloro. I do appreciate that a lot. Earl Grey Slush. Damn. Can you tell me your secret workout routine? If I did, it wouldn't really be a secret now, would it? But if I really, really had to, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day. Every single day. That's my secret workout. I think that concludes the AMA, if I'm not mistaken. My time was 10 a.m. to 11. I'm really hoping that I answered all of them to your satisfaction. But yeah, I will be releasing this video on YouTube and hopefully posting it on Reddit. I'm gonna type this out now. Thank you guys again so much for letting me be a part of it. I think it was like really, really cool to be on Reddit in the first place. I use this website a lot for a lot of my like knowledge checks and to keep up with current affairs. So thank you again, Reddit, for having me, and thank you guys at the FGC and people who are just getting into Street Fighter for asking all of your questions. I sincerely appreciate that. I hope you guys enjoy your time with the game and the commentary on. I'm so sorry if you get tired of my voice quickly, but in all seriousness, again, thank you guys for even playing Street Fighter 6. I appreciate it, and of course, if I ever see you at an event, be sure to hit me up. Let's take a photo together. Say hi, at least. I would love to see you all in person. So thank you again, Reddit. That was the AMA. I'll catch you guys next time.